Yes, a pleasant good evening to one of all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's such a joy to have you all here. I would like to introduce you to Tanya Dixon, the Director and Ambassador for the Dominica Child Protection Agency. Tanya will be doing a presentation and followed by Dr. Amina Abuchan, who is a writer, who's, sorry, the author of the book, If You Touch, I Will Tell, and she will read it for us. So yeah, we have a very interesting session, and then later on, it followed by Debra Gibran giving a nice a session with the parents and daughter bonding, and then end off with me doing a little bit of a stress release exercise. So that is it in a nutshell.
I don't know if you guys are seeing. Hope you are.
Yes,
you can give me some. Okay, great. So, as Debra rightfully said, my name is Tanya Dixon, Tanya Marie Dixon, and I'll be presenting to you today unwanted child sexual abuse. I am an independent journalist here in Dominica. I'm Trinidadian by birth, but I've been living in Dominica for a long time. I'm an independent journalist, a media personality, and then I'm also a child sexual abuse activist and ambassador of the Dominica Child Protection Society. And I would like to be seen as your big sister and mentor, because the reason why I took on this work, as this quote says here, I feel like it's so much easier to build up a child than it is to repair an adult. I am very much a survivor of child sexual abuse, and I know how hard it is as an adult to work on the trauma that experience has caused me. So I feel it's important to work with the youth now and help them learn about child sexual abuse so that they can prevent, experiencing or having these experiences, or, know how to at least protect themselves. Yeah. So today we're going to touch on just 6 things. We're going to try and smooth through it. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to try and be interactive. I should let you all know when I ask questions, you can feel free to use the hand icon, or you can, I think, message in the chat as well. I'll try my best to keep up there. So today we're going to focus on what is child sexual abuse, the abusers and their strategies, factors that increase your risk of being abused, the effects and signs of child sexual abuse, how to report sexual abuse. And we're going to end off with Dr. Obuchan, showing us how to use our voice power to defend ourselves from child sexual abuse. So let's start off with the main thing, knowing what is child sexual abuse. Anybody has any ideas? You can show of hands on the screen. I'm hoping I can see everyone. Let us know what you think child sexual abuse is. If you have any idea at all, you can show hands. You can send a message. Yeah, okay. Now, it might be tricky for some, but I'm sure we all have a general idea of what is child sexual abuse. Yeah? So, child sexual abuse basically involves the forcing or enticing of a child or a young person under the age of 16. I use that because in Dominica, that's our age of consent. I know in a lot of countries, it's under the age of 16. For some, they might be at 18. But it's basically the forcing or enticing of a child or young person under the age of 16 to take part in sexual activities, whether or not the child is aware of what is happening. And that is the key phrase there. The key phrase there is whether or not you are aware of what is happening. Okay? You can very well know that, hey, this adult is doing something wrong. Or sometimes you may think the adult is just doing the right thing. But the fact is, once you're a child, you're under the age of 16, and someone is forcing, an adult is forcing or enticing you to take part in sexual activities, it is called child sexual abuse. Okay? And it can happen between an adult and a child or between two children. Yeah? So we have two types of sexual abuse. Everyone knows about the touching aspect. That just is, it just comes to mind right away. Sexual abuse is an adult kissing a child in a sexual manner, or fondling a child, which is touching of the genitals, the private parts. And I'm going to be very honest and open. Private parts meaning your vagina or your penis, your breast, your butt, So fondling of those parts, or oral sex, where you may have the adult putting their mouth onto your genitals, or you putting your mouth onto their genitals, or vaginal and anal intercourse, actual sex, or attempted intercourse. So we know that the touching aspect, we know that part of it already for sexual abuse. But I think where it becomes very confusing for a lot of us is the non-touching aspect, right? Do you all know what exhibitionism is? It's a big word, but we could try exhibit, exhibitionism. When we exhibit something, it's like exposure. So we have some persons in our communities that like to indecently expose themselves. So they may like to, show you their genitals, show you their penis, show you their vagina, show you their breasts. And that brings them some type of sexual gratification. They feel great doing it. But when they do that towards a young child, someone under the age of 16, that is a type of sexual abuse. It's called exhibitionism. Okay? Exposure to pornography. If we don't know what pornography is, basically it's printed or it's video material that contains explicit displays of sexual activity or sexual body organs, they call it, body parts. So any printed or video material with sexual activity is pornography. And when an adult exposes you to pornography, showing you pornography, asking you to have a seat and look at it with them, it is also a type of sexual abuse. Okay? Another one for non-touching is taking photos of children in a sexual manner. So maybe an adult may be asking, okay, sit with your legs wide open, or, take your clothes off, or show me your breasts, let me take a picture. That is a form of sexual abuse. We have something called voyeurism. Now, this might be a little tricky for some. The word has that kind of a French background, voyeurism. It's a practice where people get sexual pleasure from watching, right? They watch others when they're naked, or they watch others while they're engaged in sex. So we have members in our communities who enjoy watching young children naked. So you may be having a shower, next thing you know, someone's peeping in the window, looking at you. That's called voyeurism. Okay? So that is a form of sexual abuse, when you have persons looking at you while you are naked. All right? Communicating in a sexual way through telephone and internet, that is a big one now that everybody knows about, but we take very lightly. That communicating via WhatsApp, whether we on DMs on the Facebook or Instagram, wherever you are on social media, on the internet, and you're communicating, and someone, an adult, is messaging things to you like, they would like to do you certain sexual activities. They'd like you to take your clothes off, to take pictures of you nude. This is a form of sexual abuse. Okay? And lastly, prostituting and trafficking of a child, which is becoming very, very rampant throughout the world. We have a lot of young children that are being kidnapped. They may be homeless at first, but they are being taken by other groups of people and used for sexual purposes, for gratification of others. And those persons make money that way, using these children to sexually gratify, to make other persons, adults, happy. All right? So just to remember that the two types of sexual abuse, the touching, which we're very very, familiar with, but the non-touching, we should remember and not take lightly. Exhibitionism, people showing you their private parts, it is a form of sexual abuse. Someone peeping at you while you're naked is a form of sexual abuse. Receiving those text messages from an adult telling you what they would like you to do to them sexually is a form of sexual abuse. Now, usually I play a game when I do this in person, but I don't think we'll have much time. So I may just do one part of the game, one section. But I as a child, when I was being abused, I think the reason why I felt very confused about what was happening to me is because I didn't really understand my body. And I didn't understand the warning signs or what made me feel uncomfortable or not safe. So I always try to advocate that the youth get to know their body, get to know what makes you feel uncomfortable, get to know what makes you feel safe and unsafe. And it becomes easier to understand when you're in a situation what you want for yourself and what you don't want. Okay? So let's play this game. It's a really interesting game. I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm hoping I'm going to get you guys to interact with me, unless I'm missing it. I hope the other hosts can help me there. If you all are seeing messages coming in, please let me know. If you're seeing a raise of hands and I'm not seeing it, please feel free to let me know.
No problem.
We will. So I'm going to put up some pictures, on the screen. They may look a little gruesome. Some may look scary, but that's the point. I want you to look at these pictures and determine how they make you feel. Don't think about anybody else. Think about how you feel when you see those pictures, and I set the scene for you, right? And I'd love if you could just send me a message, whether it's 2 words, I feel scared, I feel that looks exciting, or wow, I would love to try that. No, I don't like it. Send me some messages or raise your hand to let me know, how you feel. So we're going to the first one. Say we're going to have our last dinner. There's no other food available. This is all that's going to be available, and you are very hungry. And you're going to have to eat. These are actually delicacies around the world. The first one is a ping. It's called a ping, fried tarantula. The other one up there is a balu. It's a developing duck embryo. And down here at the bottom are pinkies, newborn fried mice. So these are foods that are being eaten around the world. They are delicacies. But you looking at them and you knowing this is the last meal that you have in front of you, how do you feel? How does it make you feel? This is a good time just to tune into your body, How do you feel looking at that tarantula? I can tell you for me, I'm saying to myself, I don't know if I want those hairs to touch my mouth. I'm feeling like that looks a bit, it's making me uncomfortable. Oh, someone says, no, I don't like that. Scary face. Someone says, I don't want to eat. Yes. Time to vomit. So we're seeing gross. No, that is disgusting. So we're seeing how you can look at something and automatically your body is saying to you, we are uncomfortable with that. We cannot eat that. Is there anybody there that is willing to try this, that seems intrigued, curious? I mean, we're all different people, huh? So we all may have feelings of, somebody may not like the tarantula, but I am so willing to try it. There may be somebody here already who has. Okay, Ricardo says not happening. Okay, so most people, they're not into it. This is us being able to listen to our bodies and listen to what is comfortable and uncomfortable for us. Okay, let's do just one more. One more will let me see. Let's look at this one. This is the Wuppertal Suspension Railway in Germany. Look at how high up it is, and it just floats through the air. I find it quite amazing, and I'd love to take a ride in it. And this is the Peruvian Andes Road. A high, very narrow road. Yeah? Cliffs on the side. When you're in the bus, you could just look over and you could just imagine if you just fall off that cliff. It's really higher. How do you feel? How does this make you feel? Let's see. Not the Peruvian road. I would love the train, but not the road. So you see, somebody seems excited by the train. Somebody says they will do both. Okay. They want to try them both. They said they would try it. Right. I'm gonna go with those who want to try the train. I'll do the train. Even though I may be still scared, I'll be uncomfortable. It's gonna take a lot out of me. But the Peruvian road, I don't know if I can do that if that's 2 lanes. I'm thinking, what happens when it becomes two cars passing? It's a bit scary. So this is an exercise I like to do. Somebody says not even when it's 1 lane. This is an exercise I like to do because I think this is something we should be doing more often as adults and as children. Taking the time to get to know what feels right for us. And I have to put the disclaimer here. Sometimes things that feel right when we bring it back to child sexual abuse may not be right. I'm going to repeat that. Sometimes the things that feel right to you when it's concerning child sexual abuse may still not be right. And that's when you have to remember the law. You have to remember what is child sexual abuse. Okay? It's someone forcing, someone enticing you under the age of 16 to perform sexual acts. So as children, we have some children who may enjoy doing these things, but it's still child sexual abuse. Okay, and it's very important to remember that. All right, but then again, it's also important to know your body boundaries and what you consider inappropriate for you and uncomfortable for you. So I encourage you to take some time, as much as you can. It's called mindfulness every day, as much as you can, to think about what are your body boundaries and, you know, what feels uncomfortable, what you can handle, what you cannot handle. But let's move on for now. Let's talk about who are the abusers. A lot of us think the abusers are strangers. Yeah? We still think abusers are strangers, but this has been proven to, kind of be off. Child sexual abuse is not only perpetrated by strangers. Actually, they say 93% of children who are victims of child sexual abuse, they know their abusers. They've proven over and over again that your abusers tend to be somebody you know, not necessarily a stranger. So it could be moms. Yes, it could be your mom. It could be your dad. It could be your step-parents, your older siblings, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your grandparents, neighbors, the bus driver, the shopkeeper. It could be your teacher. It could be your football coach. Okay, it could be your pastor, your doctor, a politician. And it can be a complete stranger as well. But keep in mind, 93% of the children who have been victims know their perpetrators. They know their abusers. Okay? Now, the main thing we want to talk about today is the grooming. How? What is the strategy of the abuser? It's grooming. Okay? Grooming is a subtle, gradual, and escalating process of building trust with a child. Here are the key words. It's subtle, meaning that you may not even know it's happening. You may not even know you're being groomed by an abuser. It's gradual. It takes time. Sometimes people take years grooming a child, okay? Or it can take months, weeks, but it's gradual. It's gradual. I'm going to show you how it moves from step to step right after this. And it's escalating. So it's going to start like, very, we're friends, we're okay. And next thing you know, there's sexual activity happening with this individual. Okay? So grooming, it's subtle, it's gradual, and it's escalating. It's all about building trust with a child. Grooming. Okay? So let me just, right. So these are the steps we tend to see grooming taking. They may get a bit mixed up, but this is how it usually starts. It starts with making friends with that child. You know, we start to make friends. We befriend and try to gain trust. People do that simply. Sometimes you may like sweeties, so I just bring sweeties for you. You know, I know you like teddy bears, like the child in the picture here. I bring you a teddy bear because that's my way of gaining your trust. Yes, very true. Here's a KFC, here's a soft drink, here's a top up. That's my way of gaining your trust. You know, sometimes they know so much about you already. They know, well, you been begging your parent for a phone. I'm bring her a phone. You know, that's my way of gaining her trust. I know you wanted to go to that party, you know, so I'm going to buy a ticket for you. That's my way of gaining your trust. Yes, nice clothes, new hairstyle. Exactly. So they befriend you and they try to gain your trust. Oh, a teacher using anime. Yes, very much. Very much. Very, very much. Okay. So they befriend you and they start to gain your trust. The next thing, they test your boundaries. You're probably wondering what I mean by that. They're going to start telling you inappropriate jokes. Maybe they rub your back, you know, they start tickling you or playing little games with you just to see your reaction. Okay, they're going to start doing those things. You know, they might say things like, so if I touch you there, how you'd feel now, and laugh. Inappropriate jokes, you know, back rubs, tickling. They're testing to see if you're okay, if you're going to be accepting of it, or you're going to say, stop, don't do it. All right. From there, they move from the non-sexual touching to the accidental sexual touching. So you may be, and this usually happens during play. They like to play with you, you know. You may think it's just a game, and you may not even identify that it's purposeful and inappropriate. You may be playing a game like you're just ramping around with them, and next thing you know, they're touching your vagina. They're touching your penis. And they laugh. Oh, sorry, that was an accident. You know? But it is most likely them, you know, moving from that non-sexual touching to the sexual touching. Again, pushing the boundaries. See how far you will go. Yes, like Dr. Mina says, they might even touch your back or leg in front of your trusted adult. Very true. Very, very true. So it's important to keep an eye open for this. You know, you're thinking it's accidental, but it may not be. It may very much be them escalating the grooming process now from non-sexual to sexual touching, waiting to see if you're going to say stop. Or you're going to say, oh, it was an accident, it's okay. Go ahead, let's have fun. Then there's the manipulation, which is a very, very, very important part. Yes, it's true. People can be people in your age group as well. Like as I mentioned at the beginning, it could be an adult and a child that makes child sexual abuse, or it could be two children. Yes. So let's go on to the manipulating. That is one of the major things that groomers do, that perpetrators of sexual abuse, of abusers do this, and it's important for them to do it. Manipulate the child not to tell anyone. So they do this by trying to make you feel embarrassed. They may try to make you feel very guilty, like put it on you, you know, that this is happening because of you, you know, that you should feel ashamed of what is happening. They make you feel scared about what is happening. And sometimes they may even threaten you or physically abuse you so that you do not tell anyone. And it's those types of behaviors from them that starts to confuse you. Okay, that's the last one. They confuse the child. You feel responsible for the abuse. Okay, so that is usually their steps when they're grooming. They befriend you, gain your trust, they test your boundaries. They move from the non-sexual to the accidental sexual touching. They manipulate your mind to start to think, boy, it's my fault. I'm so ashamed. And you become confused and you feel responsible. Okay? Everybody there with me? Very true. They will start to make you think that no one will believe you if you tell, because it's your fault. They're going to say it's you that caused that, you that bring that man on you, you that bring that woman on you. These are the things that the abusers will do. They will mess with your mind. So I'm just giving you a heads up of what the grooming can look like so you can be more aware. All right, let's move on. Let's go on to one of the, I think is the most rampant thing right now. We just had a few cases in Dominica. I'm sure that started this way. Online grooming. Yes, very important for us to pay attention to now. And I hope the parents are here, because this is for us. This is for the parents, for sure. So let's look at it. Online grooming. This is the act of the same thing, building trust and an emotional relationship with a minor. Now, of course, it's for the purpose of sexual gratification, all right? To sexually exploit the minor, right? They're using online platforms, though, in this realm of things. Online grooming, online platforms, social media, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok, the WhatsApp, all messaging platforms, gaming platforms. Maybe you're into gaming, you know, you're into those groups that play games together or watch anime together, whatever it may be. You have to be aware that there is online grooming out there. And online grooming has become so rampant because it's a place where abusers can go and have a wide, it's like they have a wide market, a wide range of youth to prey on. And they can do it anonymously. They can do it with nobody knowing who they are. They can have several profiles. So it's like hunting ground. And so we must be aware online grooming is out there and it's very rampant. Yes, that's very true. Chat boxes in community games. Online platforms has been the highest form of child and adolescent grooming. Very true. Very, very true. So let's take a look at some of the tactics that they use online to coerce children, to coerce you. Something called reciprocation. I'll show you if you show me. We hear it all the time. I'll show you my boxers if you show me your brand panty. I'll show you my room if you show me your room. I'll show you myself naked if you show me yourself naked first. So it's this kind of a tit for tat, a kind of always an exchange. I'll show you if you show me. That is something a lot of online perpetrators use, that line. So please look out for it. Another tactic they use, like what we just spoke about, offering something to the child, something they know the child wants, money. Some children want drugs, you know, and it's always going to be in exchange for sexually explicit photos, okay, or videos, or some type of content. All right? So they're going to give you things that you like in exchange for your photo online, for a video of you online, for you doing some type of sexual activity, for you in some type of sexual position. Another thing that we should be aware of, I know some of us have dreams of being models, and that's okay. You have a right to dream to be a model. If you want to be a model, you can be a model. But there are abusers online looking for the young girls and the young men who want to be models. They act as model agents. They pretend to be working in the modeling agency, and they come to you, you know, pretending to be that agent who loves how you look, and they can help you become the superstar model. And they ask you for images, or they take images from your profiles, but all for sexual gratification, not to help you become the model that you can be. And so you must be very aware of that. Very aware of that. We're not saying to stop pursuing your dream, but to be very careful of those who approach you online saying that they are model agents, working for modeling agencies. Another thing they do, they secretly record sexually explicit videos of you during chats. So you may be thinking, well, I just met this person, we're having a video chat, and everything is fun, but they are then asking you to do things in this video and they're recording it. So they now have a video of you probably in your underwear or naked or touching yourself. Okay, these are things that they do. They also use multiple online identities to contact you. Sometimes they've used one identity, John George, but John George could not have reached you, didn't like John George. So they decide to open a new identity. What they call that, Darren Mike. And you happen to take to Darren Mike and you start talking to Darren Mike, but you don't know that is already John George. So they start opening up these multiple personalities or identities online just to be able to prey and lure in children. And it's also a way of being anonymous and not getting caught. It's called, you know, what do you call it? Catfishing. Yes? Another thing they do is pretend to be younger or of the opposite sex. So a lot of men are online forming, creating these profiles saying they're 16, they're 15 when they're really 45 and they're 50, trying to get in touch with, you know, minors so that they can coerce them to have sexual activities with them. Okay, and sometimes I know I want to be very open. Some of us are heterosexuals and we are interested in the opposite sex. Okay, so we may be online as women and we meet another woman. At least we think they're a woman. They're our age, or we meet another schoolmate our age. And we begin to, you know, form a friendship, not knowing that that can be a man. So sometimes they pose as, you know, that best friend persona. And you're there and you're thinking, well, okay, I'm talking to my best friend. I could take my clothes off in front of my best friend. It's a girl like me or it's a boy like me. But really and truly, it might be someone of the opposite sex that is trying to coerce you to have sexual activities with you. They also access your accounts. We have seen that here in Dominica, where there was a person that created an account and they took all these images from other young girls, secondary school girls. They took their images and posted it onto this Instagram account of these young girls posing in these very weird positions, very sexual positions. So they can hack into your accounts and take your information. That's why it's very important to be careful about what you're posting online. They also can take your head, put it onto somebody else's body. Okay, so be very careful of what you're posting online. Some abusers go very far to threaten to commit suicide if you do not do what they've asked you to do. They will tell you, I'll kill myself, to invoke feelings of empathy and sympathy from you. You may say, oh my God, he'll kill himself if I don't take my clothes off and send a picture. And so you feel the desire to do that, but he's just lying or she's just lying. She's trying to get you to give in. All right. And lastly, they always save your conversations because it's a way of having information to threaten you. If you do not obey, if you do not do as they say, they will sometimes save your information to post it out as a way to threaten you online. So be very careful, again, yes, to blackmail you. Be very careful of what you're putting out there online, what you're saying in these messages. Be very, very careful. The groomers are out there. And the most important part of grooming is secrecy. And that is the thing that you should look out for. Anybody who's telling you it's our secret, it's between you and me, nobody, not your guardians, not your trusted adult can know about this. Let's keep it here. Know that something is not right. Okay? The abuser depends on secrecy. Secrecy is both the source of fear and the promise of safety. That's how they use it. They use it to make you feel scared. And they use it also to make you feel like if it's, you know, it's going to be okay if we keep it between us, just us two. All right? But secrecy should make it clear to you that something is wrong. Something is not right here. Okay, so anytime you're being told top secret, keep it hush, keep it on the low, you know something is not right here. For some children, I really believe it does add a sense of thrill and adventure. But I can speak for myself. It made me feel like something's wrong there. When you kind of tell someone you're close to, like your best friend, because they tell you, don't tell anyone, or you cannot even tell your mom or your dad, or you can't tell the adult that you trust the most. Then, for me, it was like, something's fishy there, something's wrong there. Why won't you let me tell if what we're doing is so accepted and so normal? Yes, and we're actually getting to that now. We're getting there, Debbie. Groomers also encourage victims who have issues at home. Very true. We're getting to that side of the presentation now, right? We're looking at the factors that increase the risk of sexual abuse. All right. But before we get there, I want to ask that question. Who can be a victim of child abuse? We need to ask that question. I want one of the kids to answer. I'm not hearing from them. Who can be a victim of child abuse? Okay, Aaliyah. Thank you, Aaliyah. Anyone. And you are so correct. Anyone. And I want that to remain in everyone's head when they leave here. Anyone can be a victim of child sexual abuse. Okay? Anyone. Let's get into the factors that can increase the chances of child sexual abuse. As Debbie just mentioned, the stressful home environment. Now, when you're in an environment, right, where you're surrounded by maybe a lot of violence, physical violence or sexual abuse as well. So you're seeing somebody being sexually abused, or you just have, you're in an environment where people are just being abusive at home. It becomes, how do I say it? There's no security then. There's no stability for you in that environment. And so it becomes very difficult to strive in an environment like that. Because as we all know, as human beings, we all crave security, all crave that sense of stability and love. And when you can't find it at home, then you're going to look for it somewhere else. And so children who are in stressful home environments tend to be very much at risk for being victims of child sexual abuse. It's very easy for a child who feels no love at home, who feels insecure at home, who lacks the confidence in their parents or their guardian, to be lured away by an abuser. All right? Let's look at the other one. Low self-esteem. Well, we know what that one is. People with low self-esteem, or should I say children with low self-esteem, they desire that affection, they desire acceptance, admiration, and so they become vulnerable to those abusers, because that's how abusers groom you. Like I said before, they befriend you and they will start to tell you everything that you desire. They know that you feel like you're not pretty. They'll tell you, you're so beautiful. You're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Yes? They will start to make you feel what you've been longing to feel. That's why it's so important as parents that we ensure that we help our children with self-esteem. And it's so important as children that we let our parents know that, we're not really feeling ourselves. We're not feeling good. And we want to work on it. Yes? All right. So low self-esteem, it can make you vulnerable, make you at a higher risk for sexual abuse. Unmonitored access to tech, if the parents are listening, this is a major one because we just spoke about online grooming, right? Online, the internet is an abuser's playground. Okay, so they have more children to target and they can do it with fake profiles and anonymity. So it's important that as parents, We monitor their access to tech, their access to their phones, to their laptops, to their tablets, whatever they're using, their gaming devices, we have to monitor it. And kids, I think, you know what? I know when we're getting older, we want our own privacy because we want to feel so sophisticated, you know, as young adults. But better safe than sorry. You should allow your parents to help you monitor that world because you don't understand that world like your parents might. Out there on that internet, it can be very dark and very gloomy. There are lots of things you don't understand. And so you should work with your parents in monitoring how you use your tech. Okay? It's for your safety. It really is. Let's look at poor communication, another big thing, parents. I hope you all are listening. And for the kids, I know when you feel like you can't communicate or you can't be open with your parents, you know, you start to distance yourself, you start to isolate yourself, and, you know, you also become a target because now you're looking for someone else that you can communicate with. You can't communicate with these people at home. So you're looking for that person who understands you, who gets you. You're making yourself now, that situation of not being able to communicate well with your guardians, it can very much make you very, very susceptible to abusers. All right, loneliness, which is again, just like low self-esteem, you know, you just, how do you say it? You just feel like there's nobody you can relate to. You don't feel like you have any friends. You feel already isolated and neglected from your family, from your friends. So it's easier for the abuser to lure you in. Come, I'll be your friend. I'll have your back. I'll make you happy. And so you go. So you're at a higher risk of being sexually abused. Children who identify as LGBTQ, yes. When children are in the process now of understanding their sexual identity, I want to mention this because it's important. When you're in the process of understanding your sexual identity, you may feel socially isolated from your peers. And that makes you an easy target. All right? Misunderstanding boundaries, something that we discussed earlier in the game, not knowing your boundaries, not knowing them. It's really important to know your body boundaries. Okay? Knowing your body clues. Right? When you don't know them, it's hard to distinguish between what is good and what is bad and what is acceptable for you, what is inappropriate, what is uncomfortable for you. All right. So learning about your body boundaries, learning about what makes you feel good and not good is very important. Children with disabilities, as you know, these children, you know, they're 3 times more likely to be sexually abused. And we have to look out for our friends and family who are disabled. You know, these are the children who may need personal care. They're unable to walk, they're unable to talk, you know, and so they're unable to escape. And so they need persons to look out for them because they are at a higher risk of being sexually abused. All right. Okay. We also have the blended families. You know, sometimes you're with your mom, but your mom has a new husband, you know, and so that new husband becomes your stepdad. Or you're with your dad and he has a new wife, and his new wife becomes your stepmom. And maybe your stepmom had children from before, and all of you are living together in a house. And it's been proven a lot of times that blended families tend to have higher chances of sexual abuse. Okay. Domestic abuse, again, being in stressful home environments with domestic abuse, you're at a higher risk of sexual abuse. Domestic abuse affects your self-esteem. It brings loneliness. Okay, and so like those points I mentioned before, you become vulnerable to anyone wanting to show you love, wanting to show you some stability, some security. And of course, prior sexual abuse. If you've been sexually abused before, it's very likely without support and counseling that you will be re-victimized. It's called re-victimization, right? So if you've been sexually abused before, if you've not had that support or counseling or therapy to help you through that situation before, it's very likely that you will be abused again. All right, so let's see if we can go on to the effects. Sometimes I know we have some friends in school that, we find they're acting strange. Parents as well, you may find that your kids are a bit strange, or, you just can't put your finger on it. I would like to share with you some effects or some signs of child sexual abuse, the physical and the behavioral. The physical, we have sexually transmitted infections, STIs. Maybe the child has a urinary tract infection. Maybe we're seeing pregnancy at a young age, unusual smells or bleeding, okay, difficulty walking or sitting, bruises or wounds on the genitalia. The genitalia is already the private parts or the mouth. And you have the behavioral signs and effects, isolation and withdrawal from people and activities. A lot of children, when they're being sexually abused, they just feel so ashamed and guilty and hurt, they withdraw into themselves, staying in your room, staying away from people, just being by themselves. Also, there might be an obsession with sex or a complete aversion from it. Yes, some people find that very surprising that there'd be an obsession with sex. But yes, it's very possible that when a child is being sexually abused, they become very obsessed with sexual activity, wanting to be this, big woman or big man, experience sexual activities, dress sexually, be very sexual in their behavior, or they don't want anyone to touch them. They don't want any form of sexual activity. They're completely averse from it. Drug and alcohol abuse can start with sexual abuse. You may find them starting to drink, to smoke, to take some type of drugs and having an addiction to it, as well as eating and sleeping disorders. So children who maybe, all of a sudden they just don't sleep at night, insomnia, or they're not eating, they're becoming bulimic, they're becoming anorexic. These can be behavioral signs of child sexual abuse. Terror, anxiety, anger, like I said, maybe they're unable to sleep because they're having these terrors, these nightmares, or they're having anxiety attacks. All of a sudden they cannot breathe sometimes, or a little noise just scares them and they go into these panic attacks, or they're raging in anger, upset, destroying things, cursing, always having these outbursts. These can be signs, behavioral signs of child sexual abuse. And lastly, depression, mental illness, and suicidal. Children threatening to take their lives, children saying, well, I feel really depressed, I don't feel happy, signs of mental illness. These are signs and effects of child sexual abuse. So I'm hoping that we can now keep our eyes open and see these things if we need to identify them and to think on them and not just let them slide. Ask questions from our children and kids. Ask questions from your friends. You see these signs from your friends, don't be afraid to ask questions to see if they're okay, because they may not be okay. How do we report child sexual abuse? It's very simple. Talk to a trusted adult. Now, it's important to know what a trusted adult is. A trusted adult is someone who is loving and kind to you and has always respected your body boundaries. Okay? Loving and kind can get confusing. So the key is they respect your body boundaries. A person who's not abusing you, someone that you can have a conversation with and communicate with openly. All right? That's your trusted adult. It's important that, we all know who that trusted adult is. I hope you take time to think about that after this presentation, who's that trusted adult for you? So first of all, you talk to a trusted adult. If not a trusted adult, maybe you don't have one, maybe you don't feel like you do, call or visit a police station. Okay? It's always good to have the number of a nearby police station or the headquarters on your phone. It's always it's always. And especially if you know you're going through something right now, put that number on your phone. Find it, put it in. You could probably give it a different name, I don't know, but have that number on your phone. All right? And then if you don't feel like calling the police or talking to a trusted adult, try to visit your social welfare division. I'm hoping for the kids in Trinidad, we could provide that information for you. The social welfare division. There are persons there who can help with a police report. They can help find a safe place for you to stay. And they can also help with counseling and therapy. So think about those 3 steps. If ever you're in that type of situation where you are being sexually abused or even physically abused, you're going to talk to a trusted adult, you can call or visit a police station, or you can call or visit the social welfare division. Okay? And just for some tips for the parents and for the kids too, for preventing child sexual abuse, keep your personal information to yourself when you're online. Okay? And we're not saying to come offline, not enjoy Facebook or not enjoy Instagram, but do not put your personal information out there, exactly where you live, too much details. Be very careful of that. Be wary of who you interact with online. Sometimes a random person may message you and talk to you. It doesn't mean now that you have to tell them everything about yourself. Okay? So be very wary. Yes, it's good to make new friends, but be wary of what they are telling you, what they're asking you for, what they're asking you to do. Please think about it, keeping in mind all the things we spoke about with grooming today. Choose your platform wisely. Yes, as well, take precautions if you tend to meet up. A lot of the kids now, we know you all are doing it. We've done it too as adults. You meet someone online and you go and you meet them. Okay, we can't tell you, no, don't do it. But if you do it, please take precaution. Please let your guardian know where you're going, who you're going to meet. Yes, please discuss it with your guardian. Please think about what we discussed today about grooming online before you intend to, meet up with someone that you've met online. Yes? It's important that you do that to keep yourself safe. We want you also to respond correctly if you find yourself being groomed. And what I mean by responding correctly, I mean, when you see that someone is grooming you, please cease all communication with that person. Just stop communicating with that person, all right? Take screenshots of that person's username, their ID, and all the sexual images before blocking them. It's important that you do that. Take screenshots of their ID, their picture, whatever they were using. Take those screenshots. Take screenshots of the messages they sent you before you block them. All right? And then you report that user to the platform. There are ways to report on Facebook. I think most of you guys would know about it. You can report on all of the platforms we use nowadays for someone who's harassing you. So report them on the platform. And if you still feel very distressed about what happened, try confiding in your trusted adult. Okay? It's very important. So please remember those steps. Respond correctly if you find yourself being groomed online. Cease communication. Take screenshots before you block the person. Report that person on the platform. And if you still feel distress, speak to your trusted adult. All right? I think Dr. Amina is giving a good point there about, which I'm actually going to. Be cautious in areas that are infrequently used or left unsupervised, such as the quiet corridors or the outdoor spaces. Also ensure all areas are well lit. So when you're going to meet with your friends or whoever you're going to meet, Go to a place that, you know, it have people around. It's not infrequently used. There are people around there, adults around there. It's not too quiet. It's not too dark. Okay, and as Dr. Mina said, better you meet your friends during the day in a public space. Okay? And I think this is most important to me. If someone in your family is a known offender, but they have not abused you, and it's being kept a secret, report it. You should report it. Even though they have not abused you, but they are a known offender, there is evidence. You've seen that they have been abusing other children. It's important that we report it. Somebody else's life is at stake. Okay? So it's important that we report it. All right. We have a few links being shared in the chats now by the two Debras. In case, you know, you guys want to get the information for social welfare, Debbie Gibran just showed that social welfare division in Trinidad. It's there. childrent.org is there, the Children's Authority. Take that information down and save it to your phones. Yes, save it to whatever device that you use often and you have on your person all the time. We also shared the youthdevelopment.gov.dm for any children who may be online from Dominica. Okay, so this is the part that I love the most. This is the part that I think is really important. You know, the number one tip for preventing the child sexual abuse, and that is knowing that your body may be small, but your voice is mighty. That is using your voice power. Using your voice power to fight off those perpetrators, those abusers. And this is where I will introduce Dr. Amina Obushan. And this wonderful book that she wrote, If You Touch, I'll Tell. It's amazing, guys. And I think it's just the right tool for every child. I hope if parents are online, you'll need to get onto Amazon and purchase this book. It's amazing. I'm going to give it away now to Dr. Obushan to continue with the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear me? Okay. Wow, Tanya, you did a really amazing job. Let's give her a round of applause, you guys. This was amazing. So I'm going to try to follow, but I have some big shoes to fill. So before I begin, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we're going to get into talking about our voice power, and I'll read you an excerpt from the book. So first of all, thank you guys for having me here tonight. I'm so happy to be here. And just like Tanya, I'm a child sexual abuse advocate. And the reason that I'm a child sexual abuse advocate is because, like Tanya, I'm also a survivor of child sexual abuse. So I'll tell you, the guys, that I am from Dominica. I was born and raised in Dominica, and I lived there until I was 17 years old. And now I live in the United States. But my calling, or if you guys don't know what that means, my passion, what I've been driven to in life, outside of my regular day job, is to help do whatever I can to help protect children. And so in 2020, I just had enough. I've had enough of my own trauma. I've had enough of my friends telling me that their stories of abuse. And I have a really good friend whose 9-year-old daughter just told her that she was being abused for the past 2 years. And that sparked an anger in me that made me want to write the book. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, because I know a lot of you on here may, you know, Tanya talked about it, you know, that most of the time, 93% of kids who have been abused, they know the abuser. And even more seriously, of that 93%, over half of them say that abuser was a family member or somebody very close to them. So the closer somebody is to you, the more likely they are to abuse you. Because the biggest thing about sexual abuse is access to the child, access to that body, okay? And so I started being abused when I was 7 years old. So if you can imagine maybe what it felt like to be 7, you're really just like learning and absorbing everything in the world. And you're at the age where you are trusting. You have a mom and a dad, or you may just have your mom, but you're just trusting, right? Or you may just have a dad alone. But that's the time where you're developing, you're learning the world, you're trusting, you're learning, you're growing. And so I lived with my mom and my dad and my siblings. And of course, I lived in a household where, and I would just say that a lot of course, those things that Tanya mentioned, the different types of households, so true. But my household was the exact opposite. I had a mom and dad. It was a very quiet, normal life. And my dad had a really good job and everybody knew my family and we were well respected. But my house was a house of horrors because my abuser was my dad. He wasn't my stepfather. He wasn't my mother's boyfriend. He was my father, my biological father, and he was married to my mother. Okay. So you see how deep that is. So now imagine little old me at 7. I'm learning. And the first thing you learn is to trust your mom and dad. And I'm trusting. And my dad said that is what dads do when they love their daughters. It took some time, from the very first time he said that and the very first act of unkindness that he did to me, I knew it was wrong. Because like Tanya said, we have our spirit, our soul, we have this voice inside of it that tells us something is not right. My body said this wasn't right. But I was trusting because that was daddy, right? That was my dad. And so every year I wanted to say something, every month, every day, every year. As I got older, I wanted to say something to my mom, but I just couldn't get the words. I couldn't speak those things because they were so devious. And my dad kept on telling me it was a secret. I wasn't supposed to tell. Nobody's supposed to know. And it's okay. All daddies are doing it. So imagine when your parents tell you, you must always brush your teeth before you go to bed. Do you go to school and ask your friends, hey, does your mom make you brush your teeth before bed? No, you trust. So when my dad said, all dads do it, I didn't even think to ask my friend. I just figured all dads did it. I thought, well, I guess that's a part of life I don't like, but it's happening, okay? So, but that little voice inside of you, first it will start inside and it's going to get bigger. If you're being abused, if anybody has been abused right now, and if any parents are listening, that voice inside of you will get so big. And a lot of times, you may want to tell your mom, you may want to tell trusted adults, you may want to tell a friend, and maybe they don't believe you. You need to keep on telling until someone believes you. And if you tell your mom, because she's the closest person to you, but she said, you know what, it's bad, we'll get rid of him, but just don't tell anybody else, that is the one time you need to disagree with your mom and you need to tell somebody else. Because I'll tell you what abuse looks like. So for 7 years, I was abused. Finally, when I was 13, like Tanya said, I started saying all the time, I want to kill myself. I'm going to like just kill myself one day. I'm just going to poison my food. But everybody just thought, they said, oh, she's just going through a phase. She's 13, crazy teenager. Oh, her life is too good. You know how they say, oh, your life is too good. You need something to worry about. No, but what I was actually trying to do for the parents listening, I was really hoping that someone would come to me and say, Mina, what's wrong? Why do you keep saying those things? Because I was just trying to find a way to start a conversation. But nobody did that for me. But by the time I was 14, it was just too much to bear. And one day, I just blurted it out to my mom. I blurted it out and I ran out of the house. And all I can tell you is when I came home, my dad was still there, but he had 3 broken fingers. And I will tell you though that I never had a case. I never had the police never arrested my dad because sometimes, those things happen. But I encourage you. I left my island, much like soon after that. But I'll tell you what, if I was there, like in the years after leading up to that, I would tell until somebody did something. And so I'm telling you right now, you need to tell. The faster you tell, the faster you end your abuse. And so my book, If You Touch, I'll Tell, I know most of you on here are maybe teenagers, and it may be a little more towards I wrote it more towards the younger children, younger girls, but you will hear the same key points that Tanya brought to you, because it doesn't matter whether you're 7 or whether you're 14, these abusers do the exact same thing. They groom you, they make you get so scared, they tell you to fall, they tell you to keep a secret, and you get so confused. So I'm just going to read it to you. I'll show you some pretty pictures. And please, if anybody wants to talk to anyone, you have folks online who may be willing to talk to you about stuff. But if you're being abused, you should speak up, you should tell. So here we go. If someone touches, you must tell. For them, it won't go so well. You will scream and you will wail till your voice it will prevail. If someone touches, you must tell and fight and scratch and kick and yell. If someone touches, remember tell. Your badge is proof you've been trained well. Not always a stranger, though. It could be someone that you know. Your cousin, friend, uncle, or aunt could trick you to take off your pants. Some moms and dads are naughty too, touching places private to you. Some people you've been taught to trust betray you and give in to lust. Now, if you don't know what lust is what Tanya was talking about when she said, they do it for their own gratification. So I describe lust as if you really like ice cream and that's all you can think about right now, you're lusting over ice cream. So some really sick adults, they lust and they think about children's bodies all the time. It is sad. It's such a shame. They might say, it's just a game, but it's not. Don't let anyone touch you. Scream, yell, please tell. Don't let anyone touch you. Scream, baby, yell. It's not a secret, not something to keep. If you hold this secret, you will always weep. They might say, if you tell, you'll get in trouble. You'll say, I'm still telling on the double. I know this is not my fault. If you touch, I'll tell. So one more time, children, what will you do? We'll scream and yell and tell on you. So let's just do it one more time. Let's see what we've learned here. If you touch me, I will tell. For you, it won't go so well. I will scream and I will wail till my voice, it will prevail. And I'll tell you, as children growing up in the Caribbean, a lot of us have been taught to, to listen to adults, which we should do, right? And to be calm and to not fight. But there is a time when you are allowed to use, your nails, the nails that God gave you, and to scream and to scratch and to kick. If anybody tries to touch your body inappropriately, you do that. Even if you're not sure that their touch was inappropriate. For example, like Tanya said, they were playing a game with you and they said it was accidental. It's okay to strike them. That is your body. And doing something like that to an adult, let them know, you don't mess with my body. That is a boundary you've crossed, okay? If you touch me, I will tell. I'll fight and scratch and kick and yell. If you touch me, I will tell. My badge is proof and I'm trained well. They might say, if you tell, I'll hurt your mom. You'll say, seriously, do you think I'm dumb? You say it's a secret, but I won't keep. I'll point you out. Your face I'll show. I'll tell everyone I know. So I hope you guys enjoyed the poem. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. And like Tanya said, your precious body may be small, but your voice is mighty. Use your voice power. And the last thing that I'll say to you guys is to remember that the predators, their biggest fear is their secret being told. That it doesn't matter how big and strong they are. Their fear is you speaking up, because the minute you speak up, they know that their life is over. They're going to go to jail. They're going to go to court. Something's going to happen, So you need to protect yourself, protect your family, protect other girls. And if there are any predators hiding anywhere and you're aware of them, please speak up. Help yourself, help others, because I'll tell you what, you may think that, I'll get over it, but I'm much older now. I told you my abuse was from 7 to 14. I'm much older now, but I've been through a lot of trauma, even like normal things like having a baby. That was really hard for me. I was so scared. I'm married, but my very first sexual encounter, when I consented with my partner, that was very scary for me. It was hard for me because there's a lot of trauma that comes up in your adult life when you've been abused as a child. So you may feel like you're okay now, and people may tell you, just forget about it. Don't. You have to speak up and get the healing that you need. So thank you so much for listening to me tonight. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take any questions you may have. Otherwise, I'll give it back to Tanya or Debbie. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Tanya and Shamina. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed it. It was awesome, and it was duly noted, all the points given. So I would like anyone from the audience to ask questions. If you have any questions, we can ask them now, or you can put it in the chat, or reach out to us after, and we can get in contact with Shamina or Tanya. So Deborah, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Right. So what we going into now?
We're going to go into some mother or parent-daughter bonding
Okay,
exercise.
great. So anyone here with their parent? Any of the girls?
Yes, my mom is here and my dad is here.
Great.
Oh, nice.
All right. So well, I don't know if you feel comfortable putting on your cameras, because we're going to do a little parent-daughter exercise. It's kind of like bonding, and it's asking a few questions for parents, whether it's mommy or daddy, to answer. So what we want you to do, if you don't want to put on your cameras, we want you to sit and put your back against one another, like Debra is doing it on the screen. And we're going to ask you to give like some compliments. The daughter could go first. Give a compliment to your mom, and then mom give a compliment to your daughter. So Debra, I don't know, you could start first.
Yes. Princess is kind-hearted, a beautiful soul, and goes after what she wants, very goal-oriented and focused.
Right. Princess, your turn.
My mother is very kind and loving, and she is very open about things, and I love her very much.
Oh, that's very nice. Someone else could speak. Janae, you are with your mom. Very nice. So Janae's mom could say something, give her daughter a compliment.
Okay, Janae is very skillful. She is very loving and intelligent.
And Janae, your turn. What's your mom?
My mom is very beautiful the way she is. She's always there for me, and I just love her very much.
Oh, that's very, very nice. Anyone else? We have Shreya, Aliyah. Dr. Mina said she's going to cry now because it's so beautiful, the mother-daughter bonding. Aliyah, you with your mom?
Yes, miss.
Right. So, mom, would you say something complimentary to your daughter, and vice versa? Aliyah would say something compliment to you.
Okay, Aliyah is a very beautiful child. She is very talented, brilliant. She could be resourceful when she wants to be.
Very good.
Yeah.
Aliyah, say something about your mom.
Well, first of all, my mother is very creative, very open-minded, very smart, a fast thinker, and a great.
Yeah, go ahead. And a great.
And a great cook.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. All right, thank you very much. Someone else, Shreya. We have Shreya. We have Ariana. We have Sanjni. Anyone else want to partake? Okay, we have something in the chat.
Okay, you ready?
All right, Ariana, go ahead.
Good night. I am Amy, Ariana's mom. Ariana is very bright. She can be very helpful at home, and she loves to communicate with other people.
Nice, very nice.
Good night. My name is Ariana. My mother is a very loving person. She loves to help people in the community. Whenever she's cooking, she cooks for a lot of people, and she's very helpful.
All right, that's very nice. We have two chefs in the on the chat. We have Clarice said her mother is very kind and open about everything. And Clarice's mom said Clarice is very smart and loving. That is so sweet and true. We have anyone else? What about Shreya? Excuse me. Oh, Miss Saha too. Oh, we have Shreya and okay, two sisters. No? All right. Well, we have another question, Debra. What are some similarities between you and your daughter and differences?
Similarities. We're beautiful, hardworking, like to finish a task, take pride in what we're doing. Like when she wash dishes, we'll make sure that, everything is clean and, the stove, the worktops, and, and I like that.
Right.
The difference is between us. She likes to watch a lot of movies. She loves Netflix, and I'm more like a nature person. I prefer to go on the lawn and just staring at the moon and the stars. So that's one of the difference between us. Yeah.
Okay, Shreya said that her mom is a wonderful, smart, helpful, and loving person. Shreya, mom is not around? No? All right. What about if Shreya, oh, she was here. What about if Shreya and Sanjini speak about each other? Both of you are sisters, right? So you could say what are some differences and similarities between you two? No? Okay. All right. Well, okay. Janae, what are some differences and similarities with you and your mom?
Okay, well, my mom is way taller than me and I am shorter. And the similarity is that we have the same face.
Okay. That is very nice. All right. We have in the chat, differences is Shreya said she's older and smarter and more kind. And what are some similarities? All right, what about Clarice? Any differences and similarities with your mom and you? Shreya said lazy, the same way. Okay, that's funny. All right. Well, okay, we see the time is going and, we said until 7. So let's just go straight into our mental health aspect while we wrap up with Debra. You ready?
Okay. So how's everybody feeling today? We're going to end with a little bit of a relaxation, get something. Janae says similar, innovative. Yeah, her mom. All right. Yes. So everybody sitting comfortably, sit square in your chair. Yeah. Relax your shoulder. Big inhale. And exhale. Relaxing the hands, the palms on the thighs. The palm can be facing upward or downward. Feeling the shoulders moving away from the ears, feeling supported by the chair. Inhaling deeply. And exhaling with an audible ha. Inhaling. Exhaling. Ah. Inhaling, new and vital. Exhaling, old and useless. Inhale, peace. Exhale, stress. Inhale, faith. Exhale, worry. Inhale, courage. Exhale, fear. Inhale, outrageous love. Exhale, gratitude. Place on your hands on your heart center. Inhaling deeply and exhaling. You may close your eyes. Inhaling everything that is holy, that is true, that is good and life-bearing and life-giving. Inhaling. Exhaling. Ah. Gently bring your awareness back into the body. Release the hand. Wriggle, shake the head. Wriggle the toes. And gently open the eyes if they were closed. Excellent.